Went to a friend's house for dinner, a lovely meal. The whole family cleaned their plates of food, then turned them over and ate dessert on the back of their plates like it was the most normal thing in the world. I copied them just to be polite. This might be my favorite one here. The mental image of a family flipping their plates over to eat dessert is absolutely hilarious. I had a good friend whose family were wealthy and very big on some weird sort of gift giving. Basically there were two things. One, you could not give them a present. No gifts at birthdays, Christmas, etc. If you gave them a gift they would either politely refuse or donate it. 2. You always received a gift if you went to their house, even if it was for an afternoon. I remember going to my friend's house when I was 8 or 9, 1998/1999, and them giving me a PlayStation, and each time I went over they'd give me a new game, which continued until they gave me a Nintendo GameCube. Very weird, and it wasn't because I was poor. We lived in the same area etc. This recently repeated itself when I visited my friend's house, now lives with his own family, and when I was leaving his wife was trying to give me a bottle of scotch and my daughter a fucking Nintendo Switch. Edit. They were Middle Eastern, not really sure what religion. His dad was a property developer and investor. This was in Australia, Sydney. It just felt awkward after a while. Let me be his friend too. When I lived in Antwerp, Belgium, I once was stopped by an elderly woman on the street. She was asking for help inside her house, guiding me through a house where the temperature was way too hot. She stopped at every radiator and asked me to turn them down. In the end we went to the kitchen, where some Jewish women and children were watching me silently while I was putting all the burning gas stoves on a low heat. Then she showed me out, thanked me and closed the door. In Antwerp there is a big community of Hasidic Jews. I can imagine this was during Sabbath. Correct. They can't adjust fire on the Sabbath, so they asked a Gentile to do it for them. There are limitations on that as well. We got yelled at for playing the devil game again. We were playing Mario Kart, and Bowser kept freaking his mom out, so we muted it and all was fine from then on. Meanwhile his little brother was literally playing Diablo 2 at the time in the same room, but he already had it muted, so it wasn't a problem I guess. Had this exact experience playing Commander Keen. His brother was playing Warcraft 3 as undead right besides us, but that was fine. Alrighty then. Late to the game, but here goes. I had a friend growing up whose parents didn't allow any snacks in the house. Every time he invited me over to spend the night, I was expected to bring boxes of snack food because it could be allowed if brought in by an outsider. And yes, his parents would partake too. So there was junior high school aged Hijastash bringing boxes of snacks for an entire family to have a "cheap night" at my expense. This sounds like the opposite of how it's supposed to work. One family doesn't have good snack food, so the kid hangs out with his friend who does. I went over to a friend's house for a sleepover, and when I changed into my pajamas her mom started demanding I put something else on and throw my pajamas out. I was really confused. She was yelling about how my pajamas were sinful and bore signs of the devil. I ended up just calling my mom to take me home because I was so uncomfortable, but that woman just kept scolding us for allowing me to wear satanic symbols. The symbols on my pajamas? Peace signs. She said they were broken crosses, so clearly a sign of the devil. That is just ignorant. The peace sign stands for nuclear disarmament in flag semaphore characters. It's in no way spiritual. I must have been around 11 when I visited a school friend living in the vicinity. I ended up staying for supper and the whole family sat around the table. Growing up Catholic, saying grace before a meal was well within my spectrum of experience. But my friend and his family slowly breaking down and speaking in tongues just weirded me out completely. Needless to say, that was my only visit there. Speaking in tongues. Yeah, that would be a step too far for me as well. Grew up in a somewhat Protestant family that didn't really celebrate. A ton of Catholic friends, but none of that stuff. I'm reminded of the story on Reddit where a girl went to her boyfriend's parents' house to meet them, and they had a ritual where they gather around a table and savagely consume an entire orange, skin and all. She didn't do it, and she upset the entire family. I think it's my favorite story from Reddit. https://www.reddit.com/r/amethyst/my_bfs/. I guess this qualifies as culture. My sister was dating a man that had been raised in a nudist colony. He took her to meet his family at their house at the colony. She was a tad surprised when his mother immediately says there is a hook on the bathroom door for your clothes. My sister proceeds to spend the entire evening naked with his folks. Her BF had told her before they went that it would be her option, but I guess his parents didn't think so. Man, I wish I was as confident and comfortable in my body as those guys. LMAO. My friend's father was a Geordie and his granddad was Scottish. Each Hogmanay it was my job to leave their house and re-enter bearing a gift of coal. This was my task as I was the only one there with dark hair. So that's a thing. Edit. Spelling of Hogmanay. Yes, it's called first footing, and to ensure luck for the coming year. Went to stay with distant relatives in Lithuania during winter. It's nothing for them to all get naked in the sauna and pat each other with birch branches then run out and roll in the snow. After a while I just went it and gave in to my inhibitions, but at first it was a bit confronting being naked, exposed and vulnerable. On the flip side, their snow-chilled vodka was primo which broke the ice so to speak, would 100% do again. I'm from Finland and I have seen every member of my family naked. From grandpa to uncle and aunt. Strong sauna culture here, and I think it would be weird if someone had not seen them naked. Nowadays we go to the sauna by gender, but it is common to have mixed sauna as well. I don't know if this counts as someone's culture, but when I was a kid, I had a sleepover with a friend that always sleeps naked, and I decided to sleep naked with him. Lol. Nothing sexual, just thought it was weird. I love how you thought it was weird, but you also decided to take part in it. I was kicked out of our elementary school friend's birthday party because another friend and I played witches in her treehouse. She was Southern Baptist. There was a literal cauldron in her treehouse. I stand by my decision. I got kicked out of a house once for saying, "What the heck?" They too were Southern Baptists. When meeting my Finnish fiance's family, I was invited to a sauna with her brother. No clothes allowed. 10/10 would sweat with my boy again. I'm a Finn. On my travels in the US our sauna culture came up when someone asked about it. I told that I had gone to sauna and skinny dipping with all my siblings. I had seen naked human bodies, both male and female all my life. This was to a horror of the locals, who were quick to say they were sorry that I had been abused as a child. This got into a very curious conversation. If non-sexual nudity is harming minors, I'm personally just fine with my body and never really had any of those. OMG. I once saw a glimpse of my aunt's boob. Moments I've heard in so many American stories. I grew up in a highly Mormon area, so most of my friends in school were Mormon, and I was occasionally invited into their more intimate holiday celebrations. For example, one year, they gave me bags of food and drove me to a random house, then told me I had to go in and deliver the bags to the people inside, a big family who currently have no means of financial support, as a secret Santa. It was a wonderful gesture, but I felt really awkward being asked to do this in a stranger's house. But they asked me to do it for the expressed reason that I was a stranger and they wouldn't know who had donated the food. I've organized some secret Santa projects for families in need over the years and I always hated delivering presents when the family was home. They were always grateful and kind, but it's really awkward and I don't really want to be thanked. It's like it cheapens the gesture. And I think it's better for the receivers to not have faces connected with the gifts. It was always better when just the mom was home or a friend let us in. It's better anonymous. I remember going to my Swedish friend's house, and while we were playing in his room, his mom yelled that dinner was ready. And check this. He told me to wait in his room while they ate. That **** was fucking wild. I slept over at a friend's house. When we woke up, he said he's going downstairs for a few minutes. After about 15 minutes I go on the stairs to see WTF is happening and they're eating breakfast. They see me and tell me he's almost done and will be up there soon. I still think about that **** 25 years later. I once went to have dinner with a girl from uni who came from a super nice, but very religious family. Her dad turned out to be the pastor. Absolutely no problem being silent while they're praying before dinner. However, after dinner the whole family got their Bibles out and asked me politely which my favorite verse was so we could read it together. A. Proverbs 5:19. A loving doe, a graceful deer, may her breasts satisfy you at all times. I grew up in the crazy religious house, and since Santa Claus was secular, he was completely removed from anything to do with our Christmas. Instead we celebrated Christmas like an actual birthday party complete with cake and singing happy birthday to Jesus. Edit. For all the people correctly describing Santa Claus as Saint Nick, religious figure, my family believed Catholics were going to hell because praying to saints is akin to praying to an idol or false god. Secular was probably the incorrect word, but they definitely saw Saint Nick and the Santa Claus character as a threat to real Christmas. Who blew out the candles? I had to sit on furniture that was covered in plastic. My boyfriend, at the time, had a friend whose parents invited us all over to their house for a party. The mom was a clean freak or something, because every piece of furniture was covered in plastic. It crinkled strangely when you sat on it. There were also plastic runners everywhere, so the carpets wouldn't get dirty. We were all afraid to drop any food crumbs. It felt like we were in some kind of museum. When I was a kid back in the 80s, all the old people had runners on the floor and plastic covered furniture. My mom had new carpet installed and put down plastic protectors in front of the entryway. My brother and I used to love taking that thing, flipping it upside down so the spikes aimed up, and putting it in front of a door we knew the other would be coming out of, like the bathroom door. I had a neighborhood friend that I played on the street with, and at school sometimes her mom and dad always told me I wasn't allowed to be in the same room as my friend's older brothers because seeing young women was a sin for unmarried men. I was 10 at the most. The youngest of her older brothers was 16. When I was asked by my friend to sleep over for her birthday, I was told by her and her mother that I needed to remain in my friend's bedroom. Her mother would bring us food and drinks and take us to go to the bathroom whenever it was safe. I told my sister about it the next day and she told me I wasn't allowed to go near their house or my friend again. To this day I still don't know if it was actually due to culture/religion or if maybe they just had a really fucking weird family. I think the brother sounds like a bit of a pedo. In secondary school, my best friend's family were very devout Christians. For some reason, her mother would not let me use the toilet in their house. Their porcelain thrones were for Christian asses only. Hardly Christ-like if you ask me. When my friend moved away, we would write to each other, and her mother read all the letters. She told me I couldn't sign off my letters by saying things like lots of love or love you loads because it was lesbian. Okay, Susan, take a day off. What a hateful woman. I could have a grilled cheese or a burger, but not a cheeseburger. No dairy with meat. Did they keep kosher? Drinking only milk for dinner. Don't get me wrong, I like milk and will freely drink it at times, but one time at my high school girlfriend's house I had dinner. I was helping set the table and her mom started to pour milk in all the glasses. Not wanting to be rude and ask for soda or something, I simply said I'll just have water. She replied with, the Bible says milk is served with supper. No clue if this is a thing or not. It was the first and last time I've ever heard it, but the memory has stuck with me 20 plus years later. Edit 1. Sorry to all the people who got scammed thinking it was a story about drinking only milk without food. There was food, don't remember what, but I see how the first line can seem otherwise. Edit 2. Thank you everyone mentioning/quoting the McPoyles. I've never heard of them and have only seen a few episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Now I have something new to watch. The Bible says yes, because when the Bible was written the water would give you parasites. When the host has been saying grace for 5 straight minutes and we are all still holding hands in a big circle, as if we are trying to summon a spirit, it feels pretty weird. That is pretty weird. Drank 6 shots of homemade palinka, strong alcohol from Hungary, because I was told it was rude to say no before I came here, and a few other drinks, because I wanted to try new things, got so sick. Oh man, Palinka. Years ago a couple of my buddies and I, Americans, were doing the whole backpack around Europe thing. While in Hungary we were staying with a friend of a friend to some Hungarians we knew back in the States. We stayed at his house in this little village out near Lake Balaton. Like one gravel road with a couple dozen houses was the whole village. Everyone made their own palinka, most made multiple types. To say they don't get visitors there is an understatement, especially not ones from New York City. Everyone was very proud of their palinka and insisted we try this. They were all good but damn, we were trashed by the time we met his third neighbor.